Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome today to another video. What I have for you guys today is sort of just a talk about if Shadowkeep is worth it or not. Shadowkeep came out almost 2 weeks ago, so I decided I would go ahead and do sort of my first impressions and whether or not if it's worth it. A few things I'm going to talk about in this video are how the launch day was, the content, the weapons, power cap, campaign, raid, and if I can think of anything else, we'll also discuss that. So to begin things off, launch day was October 1st. Launch day, in my eyes, was probably one of the worst launch days we've had, just because of the fact that the servers didn't really go live till about 8 o'clock my time, which is Eastern, which was awful. It basically made it much harder to actually grind for day one rating, which was annoying, but I mean, it is what it is. The launch day for most people, including myself, was really October 2nd because that was the full day of actually being able to play Shadowkeep, which sucks and all that, but it's whatever. So, what are you getting in Shadowkeep for $35? Because that's how much Shadowkeep is. Well, you are getting a new campaign, 2 new strikes, a new destination, which is the moon, which we've already gotten before, nightmare hunts, Vex offensive, a new raid, new pinnacle weapons, which are now referred to as ritual weapons, new crucible game modes, a new crucible map, and much more. And to begin things off, the campaign in my eyes was it was a cool campaign. It wasn't anything like too memorable. Mainly what it was about was just it was basically just like realizing that some power is able to bring back enemies we fought before. Go play the campaign if you haven't yet. I guess I probably should have stated that before I said all that I've said, but basically, in my eyes, the campaign was pretty cool. Last mission was nice, but I mean, was probably the only, like, memorable part about the campaign. Like, the most, like, midway through the campaign was basically just grinding the armor, because you needed the full set of armor before going into the last mission, which for me was kind of not cool. um, because it just kind of delayed the process of getting to endgame. Um, which is annoying. Speaking of endgame, let's go ahead and hop into that now. For endgame, you have Nightmare Hunt, Vex Offensive, and now the new raid. You have core and rotating Crucible game modes to do, and then flashpoints and everything else like that. When it comes to endgame, it felt like there was very minimal content for the sense that it just felt like, at least for someone like myself who focuses on content a lot, it felt like at least on my first character that I was done with content in about 2 days of playing, which I play starting from like 4:30 till about 10:30, so about 6 hours. And you gotta think also Vex Offensive is like maybe 30, 45 minutes and stuff like that. Basically, long story short, it's not a whole lot to do in endgame. I actually find myself doing older content like The Reckoning and Menagerie to get more god roll weapons to, I guess, hold myself over. Which I mean isn't a awful thing because someone like myself, I actually stopped playing Year 2 Destiny roughly a few weeks after Forsaken, just because I got bored of the game. Um, which I mean doesn't really help that. Also, on top of that, though, tomorrow Iron Banner releases, and in a few weeks the new dungeon launches. So maybe that'll change, but for right now, when it comes to content, it's kind of minimalistic. Nightmare Hunts is one of the new game modes we got with Forsaken, in which in the Nightmare Hunt, it's pretty much like a mission just with kind of harder enemies to kill, and there's powerful rewards tied to it, so there's really no reason to go do it unless if you're 950. Nightmare Hunts were kind of a cool thing after like the first or second attempt. After that, it just kind of became, oh, that one activity that you can do for powerful, but it's whatever. Um, Another new activity is the Vex Offensive. Vex Offensive was, it's also a cool activity after, or like, during the first run. After that, it becomes rather irritating to play. The weapons you get from Vex Offensive are decent at best. The only weapon that I've seen, like, pretty good, pretty good feedback from is the hand cannon. In which on console, the hand cannon might be pretty good because it's a 180, but on PC, 180 hand cannons aren't the greatest. Um, so that's always nice. Basically, Vex Offensive is sort of like a mini raid, but it's also not really a mini raid. It's basically like mechanics from raid layers and like raids in general just put together. It's basically just killing ads, destroying crystals, if not oracles or crystals, and then killing a boss at the end. You have to collect like Vex items in order to get the weekly, which can take 2, 3, maybe even 4 runs, which can be very tedious, especially if you're just trying to get it done with. But I mean, what can you do? The raid is cool, but it's kind of like day one. It was underwhelming in my eyes because of the fact that it's a rather short raid for a big expansion like Shadowkeep. When you look at Shadowkeep, it's supposed to be the expansion that brings the new year in. So when you look at Forsaken's opening raid, which was Last Wish, it had a lot more to do in that raid compared to Garden of Salvation. By the way, if you haven't ran that raid, go ahead and do it because it's actually, even though I've like talked kind of shit about it, it's a pretty solid raid. It's just sort of not what I expected, I guess. But furthermore, basically it's three. Wait, is it? Fuck. It's 2 encounters and 2 boss fights. It's a, which I mean, it's whatever. It's sort of like one boss that you chase around the whole raid, and then the last boss is, I mean, it's not that hard of a boss. It kind of keeps you on your toes the whole time. But I mean, I was sort of hoping for a little bit more when it came to the raid. The raid isn't bad. It's just not what I was expecting. Like I was basically expecting like another Last Wish, to where you had like a ton of encounters to do, and it was actually like a solid, like long but yet fun raid to do. Well, with Garden of Salvation, it was a very short raid. Wasn't. It basically was not what I thought we would get from a yearly expansion. With that, though, we're gonna move into Crucible. Now, I'm not a Crucible player myself, which is why you guys are watching PvE content. I am a PvE player myself. I love to do PvE content, but I'm going to try to put in my 2 cents of Crucible. Crucible is Crucible like it was in year 2. You have your shotguns, your hand cannons, your recluse, your mountaintops. It feels like nothing changed, honestly. If you played year 2 Crucible, you've played year 3 Crucible. And that's not bad all the time. I mean, there are things that do get annoying, like Mountaintop and Recluse. Which, by the way, Recluse, the quest, I've finished it. I actually used it in this gameplay. It's rather easy, even though it kind of looks like it's tedious. It's the Mountaintop quest that's awful to do. Um, Besides that, though, I mean, it's just Crucible is just the same. It is. The new map, I've played it. It's cool. That's like all I have to say about the map. It's cool, really. I mean, it's nothing special. It's not gonna take my favorite map like Bannerfall or Burnout or or anything like that away from me. It's a cool map, but it's not like a memorable map in my eyes. So let's talk about the new weapons. So there aren't actually a whole lot now that I think about it. The vendors did not get reset. Their inventories did not get reset. So the only new weapons we get are the Vex offensive weapons, the raid weapons, the exotic weapons, which I mean there's I think one, no, my man, 2 new exotics, which are Divinity that you get out of the raid, and Ariana's Vow, which you get from the season pass. Um, which both, by the way, like aren't bad exotics. Ariana's Vow is just kind of like a fun exotic to play around with. I've heard Divinity is pretty good in PvP, and it's kind of cool in PvE, like the raid. So I mean, you know, I'll probably get it and make a video about it or something, but that's like for a later date. Um, basically, it's like the weapons seem rather minimalistic. That's why I'm running like the Reckoning and Menagerie, is because I'm trying to get newer weapons. Like I'm trying to get the Beloved and the Austringer. Basically, Eris is like the only vendor that has new weapons. You have, you know, Eris's weapons, the raid weapons, hopefully new Iron Banner weapons. I don't know if there's new Iron Banner weapons, but I mean, hopefully there are. Ritual weapons, which I mean, you have a new Gambit SMG, a new Crucible Scout Rifle, which I heard is pretty good. I haven't heard anything about the Gambit SMG. And then the Vanguard LMG, which I mean, once again, I haven't heard anything about. Um, Regarding most of that, though, I mean, there's nothing too crazy when it comes to new weapons. Monte Carlo's back, so if that's your cup of tea, then I mean, it's back. Get it from Exotic Engrams. So if you want to go grind for it, it's not gonna be a weapon you know, just spend hours upon hours trying to get. The new power cap, soft cap is 950, and the pinnacle cap is 960. However, though, there was a new item introduced to your character, which was the artifact. The artifact allows your power to be infinite. Yes, infinite. You can literally get to 1,000 power as long as you grind. The thing about it is, in order to get power levels with the artifact, you have to play the game. You have to play the game a lot, and this is where the use of like bounties come in. If you do a lot of bounties, you'll rank up your artifact a lot, and you'll get to a high a high artifact rank. So you'll get to a higher power cap. But if you don't use your artifact, the highest you can get is 960, which, it allows you to do practically every activity in the game. You'll have struggles doing the 980 Nightfall, but I mean, if you've done the 950, you've kind of done the 980, and the 980 is just a little harder. And it lets you get exotics much easier. However, though, I think Iron Banner is definitely going to be ruled by players who grind the game a lot for higher artifacts. So overall, is Shadowkeep worth the $35? In my eyes, if you're gonna get Shadowkeep, you might want to look into maybe getting Forsaken. I'm not sure if that is the case. In the description below, I'll probably, make a note to whether or not if it is the case. But Shadowkeep was, Forsaken was $25 around the time that Shadowkeep came out. So, I mean, it is $60 altogether because Forsaken comes with the 3 seasons or the annual pass. So, I mean, it's $60, which I mean, not a lot of people are gonna want to just throw $60 out to be able to have fun playing a game, in which I completely understand that. If that's not your cup of tea, don't worry about it. Shadowkeep does come with a good amount of content, but at this current moment, there's not a whole lot. You do have your, dungeon coming out soon. You have Iron Banner that comes out every month. So if you're PvP, you got Iron Banner coming out every month, and if you're PvE, you've got a dungeon coming out soon. But besides that, there's nothing like there's nothing like in the near future that's like absolutely crazy. So in my eyes, once again, is Shadowkeep worth it? I mean, I think it is, honestly. I like Shadowkeep. It's something to do on Destiny 2, and that's just something I like. If you have Forsaken on PC and you come into the same area that I am when it comes to the content, then you'll find yourself doing Reckoning and Menagerie a lot, which I mean isn't a bad thing, but I mean it's just whatever. So anyways, though, that's it for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in my next video. Peace out.
I just let little mama suck me up, girl. Bitch trying to crash the road, runs up the bus, girl. I jumped out the porch and went straight up, girl. You can leave your town and head to another world.
What the move? I'm tired of earning you. I'm tired of spying on you. Teddy paid mine too. I made it rain on you when it was hard to maintain too. I was playing games with you like you could never play games too. Yeah. Ooh. You just gotta tell me what you want. Love a ton, diamond, keep calm. Okay. All you do is point at what you want. Crystal cut punters in the chunk. 35,000 for a dub. Nigga try to buy the cash calls. Person Miller braids with the walls. 35,000 for a dub. You make it twerk for me. You get a purse for me. 80,000 off for a burger. You get a purse for free. I make it worship me. Copy and burst for me. Turn to a B.I.O.B. I make it work for me. You walk back, oh no. I make her drop it and pop it and break it on my nose. I make her shut up and suck it, she fucking at my shows. I make her shut up, she fucking, she sucking at my shows. Yeah.
Drip, drip. No shoes in my sneaker, won't trip. My jeans ain't so tight they don't fit. Still walk around with a stick on my hip. VVS diamonds right behind my lip. Down while with less than 50 on my wrist. Diamonds so cold on my neck, it got me sick. Rob Simmons mix it up with the Rick. Flexing on these haters, oops, I mean my bad. Made it from the soil, made it from the Rex. Richer than your first, richer than your last. LUV, know I got the swag. Pop a rubber band, pop another Zan. I groove around, party back my hand. I'm seeing double looking through my lens. Tell me what you want, I just want your friend.
You just gotta tell me what you want. Live a ton, diamond keep calm. All you do is point at what you want. Crystal cut punters in the chunk. 35,000 for a dub. Nigga try to buy the cash calls. Person Miller braids with the walls. 35,000 for a dub. You make it twerk for me. You get a purse for me. 80,000 off for a burger. You get a purse for free. I make it worship me. Copy and burst for me. Turn to a B.I.O.B. I make it work for me. You walk back, oh no. I make her drop it and pop it and break it on my nose. I make her shut up and suck it, she fucking at my shows. I make her shut up, she fucking, she sucking at my shows. Yeah. That means they drip, that means wrist. Leg it, fuck all the skits. Left wrist sitting on the brick. Left wrist, bitch have it lie like a pig. Shit. Fish part K for the shit. Grab an AK for the wrist. Put gorilla rapping babe on the bitch. Put your car cave on the bitch. We live in state on the bitch. We never ever play with a bitch. Do everything the same on the bitch. We know they pick the brains on the bitch. I throw the big B's on the bitch. I got a few C's on the bitch. I'm in another lead on the bitch. My diamondback ski on the bitch. What's the move? I'm trying to earn you. Oh, yeah. I was trying to spine on you. To the pain mines too. Make it rain on you. It was hard to maintain too. So I was playing games with you, like you couldn't play games too. Hey, okay. You just gotta tell me what you want. Live a ton, diamond keep calm. All you do is point at what you want. Crystal cut punters in the chunk. 35,000 for a dub. Nigga try to buy the cash calls. Person Miller braids with the walls. 35,000 for a dub. You make it twerk for me. You get a purse for me. 80,000 off for a burger. You get a purse for free. I make it worship me. Copy and burst for me. Turn to a B.I.O.B. I make it work for me. You walk back, oh no. I make her drop it and pop it and break it on my nose. I make her shut up and suck it, she fucking at my shows. I make her shut up, she fucking, she sucking at my shows. Yeah.
Off of the perk and the Xanakin, yeah. Walk in the sky like a mannequin, yeah. Double G on me like Mannequin, yeah. Make 'em freeze like the Mannequin challenging, yeah. Me and Slap dealing the damage. Kidnap the children, the